Now we're going to set up the confrontation between these two robots. Now the values are pretty dark on our guy on the right, so I'm going to select him, and I'm going to go to Effect, Color Correction, and I'm going to go to Levels. And in the Levels window, I'll adjust it so that it's a little bit brighter for the lights, and maybe a little bit with the middle values. Now, the next thing I want to do is that when the confrontation occurs, the bad robot shatters and explodes. So I'm going to put the playback head at the beginning of the bad robot, the guy on the right. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Layer, Pre-compose Layer, and I'm going to make sure that Move All Attributes has been chosen. If you want, you can rename this at this point. And then I'll click OK. Now I want to clip it there so I can keep this organized. So once again, I could hold the Shift key and drag through and snap the beginning like so. Or if I chose to, I could hold the Option and hit the open bracket, and that would cut it at that point as well. So somewhere after they both arrive on screen, we want this shatter to begin. So they both arrive at 21 seconds. Let's give them 2 seconds on screen before we introduce a shatter. So I'm going to go to 2300 in my time code. And just to keep it organized, I'm going to put a marker on that layer. Now there's 2 ways to do it. I could drag the marker from the timeline, like so, in the corner of that inverted tab. Or if I have a layer selected in my timeline, I can hit the little star icon above the minus key in the numerical pad on the right hand side of your keypad. And now I have a reference to where I want this to take place, and that's going to be helpful because now we're going to introduce the shatter effect. I'll go to Effects, and I'm going to go to Simulation, and I'm going to choose Shatter. And it'll disappear immediately, your image. You'll see you get these bricks and a circular wire shape up in the right hand corner of the effect that is now over our Project tab. I'm going to change it from Wireframe and Force to Rendered. I'm going to open up Force 1, and for the radius is 0.4, I'm going to make it 0 and my character will reappear. Now I wish it to shatter from the center of this little guy, so you'll see next to the word position a target icon. I'm going to click on it, and when I do, I can now relocate the point of shatter where I'd like it to be, and I'm going to click directly on him. Now I've got it set at 23 seconds where our marker is, so I'm going to set the first keyframe for radius now that I've got it set to 0. Let's choose 26 seconds as a point at which the shatter will complete. Now I'm going to click and drag on radius for Force 1 to the right, and you'll see that as you do, the pieces shatter out away from the screen. And I'm slowly dragging until all the pieces are gone. I'm going to leave it at about 0.7. This is something that can be adjusted accordingly. Now I'm going to pull my playback head back towards the middle, or beginning towards where the shadow originates, because I want to change the pieces to a certain degree to the type of piece, how thick they are, and the numbers. So now that I can see what the shadow is going to look like, I'm going to open up Shape, which is right above Force 1. I'm going to change it from bricks to glass. I'm going to change the repetitions from 10 to something much higher, maybe 30, and it's going to give me a bunch more pieces. Now I'm also going to change the extrusion depth here as well. I'm going to make it 0 so it's much thinner and looks like thin pieces of eggshell perhaps. Now if I was to drag through to see what my shatter is doing, or if I was to play, you'll see that your character shatters and falls. Now it's going straight down, and I don't want that either. So I'm going to put my playback head where I can see the pieces once again in some capacity. And I'm going to open up the tab for Physics. So I'll close the others and I'll open up Physics. You notice the gravity is set for 3, and that's why the pieces are falling down. I'm going to set it for 0 so that when this character explodes, it comes towards us straight out. All right, so we have our shadow the way we want. Now, to make it a little bit more accented and clear, I'm going to put an outer glow on those shards. So I've got it so I can see the pieces once again. I'm going to go to Effect, and I'm going to go to Stylize. I'm going to choose Glow. Now, there are a lot more features with this function than in Photoshop. And the first thing you're going to notice is that the glow is based on color channels. And what that means is that the glow is on the inside of the pieces. So I'm going to change it from color channels to alpha channels so that the glow will eventually be on the outside. There's one other thing I need to change to make the glow on the outside edges of these shards. Where it says glow operation, right below the word behind, it might say add. I'm going to change that to normal. Now my glow is on the outside of those shards. Now I'm going to change the default white I'm seeing to a yellow that's already in my document. I'll go down to where it says A and B midpoints, and I'll click on the eyedropper next to the white box, and I'll roll over, and I'm going to click on a yellow that appears in my document, and now I have an analogous color to the rest of my files. Now at this point, if I wanted to, I could change the intensity, which would make it brighter. I could change the glow radius, which would make it broader. Right now, you don't want to abuse this. You want just enough to highlight this a bit so that the pieces are a little bit more visible when it quickly explodes. I'm going to hit Command S to save.